Hi, I'm Emily Vale, and welcome to Behind the Bookshelf. Today, I'm joined by Sara A. Latimer, who writes romantic fantasy that blends courtly intrigue, sweeping romance, and the shimmer of magic. Her debut novel, Song of the Forgotten, is the first in a Tudor-inspired trilogy filled with deception, royalty, and shocking twist. Based in the greater Houston, Texas area, she spends her days weaving stories, tending her garden with her two pups, and finding inspiration in Strong Coffee and Florence and the Machine albums. Hello again, Sara, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can see you have your book in front of you. Can you show everybody real
Yes.
quick?
Oh, oh, there we go.
It's,
Song of the Forgotten.
love it. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today for everybody listening. Tell me, this is a duality, correct? So you have
It's
Song of the Forgotten and then Song of the Remembered, right?
yeah, it's actually going to be a trilogy. So we have Song of the Forgotten, that's book one. It's the Damned Dynasty trilogy. So Song of the Forgotten, Song of the Remembered is coming up next, and then the last one, I haven't released the title yet.
Exciting. So yeah, I'm going to be asking you about the first in the trilogy, Song of the Forgotten, and hopefully we can get a little bit of like teaser for Song of the Remembered coming
Yeah,
up.
for sure.
Before we get into all of that, can you give us a brief synopsis about Song of the Forgotten? Tell us about it.
Yeah, for sure. So, Song of the Forgotten follows Eowyn Blackthorne. That's her on the front. She's a delegitimized princess who is banished across the sea to marry a man she absolutely despises, but she never gets there because her ship is abducted by sirens. And then, of course, all chaos ensues. Yeah.
Cool. So this is a fantasy romance, right?
Yeah, it's romantasy. I think more people kind of call it romantasy just because there's some debate between where does romantasy begin and where does romantic fantasy kind of start things. So
Yeah. So
people, when
since she
I,
is a princess, it would be considered romantic, right? Because it's political intrigue,
yes,
right?
yes,
Okay, gotcha.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
romantic, but yeah, totally. It is a thing, like a misunderstood term, because I didn't even know that until I started querying, and I was like, oh, that's what romantic means.
Yeah, I feel like people connect a lot with romantasy now. Like everybody's talking about it kind of. So sometimes it is easier for me to say, yeah, it's romantasy.
So let's go back to the sirens.
Yeah.
You can write, mythical creatures a multitude of ways. So I would love to know, are the sirens in your book more monstrous, alluring, or both? How would you describe that aspect of the
So
story?
a large part of the story too is about like who is the monster, like in kind of comparing like humans to mythical creatures in a way too. So that's like a big part of it, and also like tying in the political intrigue piece of it. So in some ways, the sirens seem monstrous, but when you really get to know them too, you start to question like, okay, are the humans the monsters? Are the sirens the monsters, so to speak? So I would say in a lot of ways they're very alluring. I think in my mind they're very like beautiful, mythical, but some of the characters in the world they seem very monstrous and scary. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way you said that because, like, when it comes to a quote unquote villain, they can be written flat, but also a lot of times a villain could be misunderstood because, like, what leads them to be that way? And then also a siren in mythical lore, they're a predatory creature, and so like
Yes.
any other predatory creature, they do what they need to do to survive.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so it poses a lot of important questions, I think, to the reader. And yeah, now I'm excited to read it because I'm like, what are the sirens up to? Why have they been, yeah, what's
Yeah.
their deal?
They're different though. Like I always, so also there's like kind of controversy in the siren like mythical world because you have sort of two realms. Like you've got some people who envision sirens more with like wings and like that kind of like very Grecian representation of them, and then you have like this siren that lives under the sea. So I that was kind of hard to play with too because I think people have different expectations for sirens in the first place. So I did try to kind of make it unique in a lot of ways too, because there are a lot of like siren mermaid books. So my sirens are a bit different. They don't have tails. They walk around on legs in an underwater castle. So
Cool. And that's what I love about mythology or when it comes to these like supernatural creatures is you
yeah,
can do whatever you want to with them. You know, I've written vampires and there's so many different ways to write vampires. But with sirens, like I feel like that's one of the lesser one. Like vampires are everywhere, right? But sirens we don't see so much.
yeah.
And the first time that I ever learned of the lore of a siren being winged is when I read um Filthy Rich Vampires.
Okay, yeah,
And it's like a 4 book series, and it goes into that. It goes into a lot of a few different creatures.
yeah,
And I was like, like, what is this? And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually like historical, like Grecian lore, like you said.
yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, like you said, yours are legs. I mean, it's so fun because you have the freedom to, because they're not real. Some people might argue
Yes.
that they are, but
No, yeah. It's fun because it has not so many like rigid rules. Like I feel like vampires
Mhm.
have like their sort of like set rules like within the
They
like
have to drink
writing.
blood,
They
right?
have to drink blood. And then same with like werewolves, like they've got their kind of like niche. So that's also what drew me to writing sirens because it was like, okay, I can kind of get creative here and do what
Yeah.
I want.
I mean, they're known to eat sailors, and that's about like all I kind of know.
Yeah. I've got, they've used music and they love water. They live underwater. I kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah, so a lot of fun stuff to play with there.
yes, for sure.
So we talked a little bit about the second installment of the trilogy comes out in September. The title is Song of the Remembered.
Yeah.
Is it September or November? Because I think I looked at it recently. It comes out in November.
November. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where I got September from.
November 8th is the set date. Sometimes when you post things like you're starting to put it together on Amazon and stuff, you have to set like a random date. So I could have put it a little earlier, but
Yeah.
the official date is November.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, what are some things that we can expect to see in this second book without spoilers? Like, what are some themes
Yeah.
that readers can expect?
So I definitely dive further into sort of that like who's the monster truly
Mhm.
theme. And then also a lot about who you can trust, like from relationships and friendships and sort of situations like that. Um, Trope wise, I feel like I've got a lot of like love triangles, twists, turns, all sorts of fun stuff. More sirens. Um,
Cool.
yeah, more court intrigue. So,
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to series, the second book is personally a favorite of mine because in the
yes,
first book, we're getting introduced into the characters and the story, and it
yes,
usually ends on a cliffhanger of you realizing that not all is as it seems. And the
yes,
second book, we get to really like kind of double down on investigating, that and uncovering maybe some lies or whatever else it is.
yeah, expand the world. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And also, it's really fun to write too because you have all these set characters in this set world. So, I don't know, it was really nice to write because it's like, okay, I've got the structure here. Now I can build upon it.
Yeah, so whenever you started with this story, did you always know it was going to be a 3-part a trilogy?
I tried so hard to make it a single book. Like, I was like, I've got, because when you start writing, you want the idea is like, make it marketable, blah, blah, blah. So you start trying to do that, and then you realize, what am I doing? Like, that's not, I don't, a standalone wasn't going to do it justice. I wanted to build on it. There was so much to discover. So standalone turned to do, I'm doing a trilogy. That's that. That's what we're doing.
Well, I feel like when you write in the genre that you do, when it's epic fantasy or when it's romantasy,
Yeah.
it's really hard because these worlds are so vast and the story is sewn through so much history and so many people. So
Yeah.
it would be a disservice if you did a standalone. The only way I could imagine it working is if books focused on different characters, main arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be a trilogy.
Trilogy, maybe duet, like I think that would be nice too, but I feel like it would be really challenging. Like eventually I want to write a standalone romantasy or fantasy, but it's hard. Like I find myself I'm trying to find other books who've done it well to like
Mhm.
create like that full arc in one story, and it is challenging, I think, for the
Yeah.
genre.
Yeah, but I think you made the right choice, definitely.
Thanks.
T to that point, I do write standalones, but I'm releasing it's a vampire romantic fantasy, and it is a standalone. But with that being said, there are more characters that contribute to this story, and they could very well have their own storyline.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, it would be a continuation of the universe. Yeah, that's the only way I think you could do standalones again. But yeah, it's an
Yeah.
interesting thing to talk about when it comes to like building stories and how far can you go with them.
Yeah. And sometimes I think you can go too far for sure. Like
Hmm.
my motto with kind of writing is I always want to leave the reader with wanting more, like ultimately, which sounds easy, but in practice it's harder because that means saying like a little bit less and sometimes having people come to you and say, "Oh, I wish I had more of this and I wish I had more of that." And you almost as the writer want to give it to them, but also it is a good thing when they are wanting more of something, like ultimately. So yeah, it can be really hard because I think you could just write and write and write. We've seen it with other authors, but I feel like there's a point to get out and let it live.
Yeah, that's kind of like when you're painting, you can definitely overdo it. There's
Yes.
like a point. It's a fine balance, it really is.
Yeah.
So, you describe yourself as a romantic fantasy author. What do you love most about this genre and the kind of stories that you're able to tell along with it?
Yeah. So I feel like when I started reading fantasy in general, I have like two great loves. Like I love any book I pick up, I'm looking for romance in it just naturally. But then fantasy, when I started to get into that, I was like, oh my gosh, anything is possible. Literally
Hmm.
anything I can dream of is possible. Like, how cool is that? So I feel like that really drew me to the genre and like allowed me. I've always loved writing. I loved reading, but I feel like I found my true like ability to complete a book and have the drive to keep writing books because with romantasy specifically, I get that romance element, but then with fantasy, I can just go off kind of.
Yeah, I totally agree. That does draw me to that genre as well. That's actually kind of the only romance that I do read. I don't read contemporary romance, and I've said that multiple times on this podcast. People probably think I have like a
Yeah.
pitchfork raised to the genre. I don't. It's just like for me, my mind needs like more stimulation, and the fantasy element
Yeah.
lends that.
Yeah.
For me, it propels this romance forward even more. And yeah, that's a personal preference, but
Yeah.
that definitely draws me in.
I get it. I feel like with romance, I do like contemporary romance, but I don't know if I'm not constantly drawn to just reading contemporary romances. But when I'm watching movies or like even I think about the play Hamilton. This is so off topic, sorry. But when I think of the play Hamilton, what made me love it is like the love interests and stuff like that. I was like, I'm hooked. Like I need that love story in more stories. So that's
Hmm.
what I mean by I love like romance, just in books in general. So, but not always contemporary romance. I do enjoy it. Like I feel like I've read more of it, especially like I'm in a book club, and that's like always kind of the books that we lean towards. But I just love love too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
yeah.
So, what was your introduction into becoming a novelist? What made you want to write?
I've always loved writing. Like I always wrote poetry or just like little short stories, like kind of dabbling in writing here and there. And I knew like in my heart wanted to write like a novel, but I just didn't have like the full idea. So I feel like again, when I started to read romantasy and it just like sort of all clicked, like, okay, I can really do whatever and have all these like different pieces. I feel like that's when I was like, okay, I can actually write the book that I want to write. Like I have talked about writing a book. I feel like so many of us like do this where we're like, one day I'm gonna write a book, but it took a while for me to have kind of all the pieces of like, okay, wait, what does that book actually look like? So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it comes from, that creative passion and spark, but it's very much a learned skill. And
Yes.
the first book that I ever wrote, which was Bloodlines, oh girl, it went through so many versions to come what it is now. Because I was like, okay, I want to write a story about a vampire, and then I was like, oh wait, there's a thing called story structure.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but
Did
you
you?
started with poetry, right?
Yeah, just like being a teenager and writing poems and like I think you study them so much in high school too. I'm an English major. The only classes I ever did well in were English classes. Like everything else, forget it. So I've always like just loved creative writing. But that's a whole different beast from like writing a story with a plot, with an arc and all of that stuff. Like that, yeah, it's different for sure. So,
Yeah, it sounds like it was always kind of like a shadow behind you, and then when you discovered it, it was like a bright light shone on, like, hey, Sarah, you
yes,
can be a novelist.
like that, it clicked. Yeah.
This was not on the list of questions, but I like surprising people sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you have any particular like habits when it comes to creating a new story, whether it's a new story or when it's, a continuation of a series? Do you have any particular um, rituals, I guess, or things that help you throughout that process?
Oh, I don't know about rituals really. I mean, I try to commit to writing. I have like my writing rule, which I try to write every day for 15 minutes. That's like a big one. Just sit down and I have to do something with writing. It can be,
Mhm.
I have like usually my flows like, okay, I'm writing the first draft or I'm editing, like especially if it's like crunch time. But sometimes it's just creative writing, like just kind of getting a idea out of my mind and throwing it on a piece of paper and getting not a piece of paper on a computer screen really and getting it out there. But I don't really have like a ritual. I always just I listen to lo-fi medieval music. That's like my favorite and plug in and just chug away. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it gets you in that zone. That's probably what your characters would listen to, huh?
Yes, I feel like
The
that's why I'm
lo-fi
like,
medieval.
what kind of music would they listen to? Lo-fi medieval? I don't know. It's the
Yeah,
perfect playlist though. It's on YouTube.
that's very niche. I listen to like lo-fi hip hop, but now I'm gonna go on my Spotify and look up lo-fi medieval just so I can hear
It's good. She's
it.
she's an elf and she has like little elf ears. That's the one that I always listen to. You'll see her.
Love it. And then, writing for 15 minutes every day, I've heard of people swearing by that, just like write every day, it doesn't matter how much.
Yeah.
And I try to do that for some time. It works for some people and it doesn't for others,
Yeah.
but it makes sense just like exercising that muscle. So,
I think it's the routine of just sitting down and doing it because, and what always, not always, but majority of the time, what ends up happening is I'm there for a lot longer than 15 minutes. I end up going for
hmm
30 or 40 or an hour, 2 hours. But when you're past like the drafting phase of writing, it's like, okay, now I've got to edit. So it makes me like sit down and I have to look at that, look at what I've done and clean it up.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's like forcing yourself to be present. I have to do the opposite. I have to force myself to disconnect and like go on a walk or something.
yeah.
Otherwise, I will drive myself crazy and I'll just be like, we're gonna edit. We're gonna sit here and edit all day until we're done.
There's a point though where your brain is like, nope, can't. And it's just like nothing good's gonna come out of me at this point, so I need to walk away.
Yeah. So this is a fun question. What is the last book that you read that you loved?
Okay, so last book. Well, I just read The Everlasting. I don't know if you've read that one yet, but I forget who it's by. Oh my gosh, I should have written this down.
Um, Something I know who it is. For some reason, I want to say Harrow.
What
Someone
is,
Harrow.
I feel awful now. I went off script too because I wrote down, I just read I just finished what is it? the War of the Lost Hearts trilogy, and I really enjoyed that one. But the last book I loved was The Everlasting. Like it was
Yeah,
amazing.
Alex E. Harrow.
There we go. That was my first book I've read of her.
Didn't they also write The Starling House?
I don't know. This is the first book that I've read from them, and I really did enjoy it. It was like
Okay.
amazing, like heart-stopping amazing. Like the love story is just so beautiful, so unique. It's like kind of gender bending a little bit. Like she's a knight and she's like strong and like a fighter truly, and he's more of the poet, the writer, and like ugh, their love is like so beautiful. I genuinely enjoyed it. So that's the last book I read that I loved. I did really enjoy the War of the Lost Hearts trilogy. I read the whole thing through, and I really enjoy Carissa Broadbent. But The Everlasting was oof, so good.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things about them from my other friends. And it sounds like you read pretty much in your genre as well. Like the genre that you write in, you read in primarily.
Yeah, I try to. I think it's good. Like every book that I go into, I do try to study it in a way. So, but I'm in a book club, and we that gets me out of my shell every now and then, which is nice.
Same. Yeah, that's a good tip. It is to do that to get out of your shell. Because same, like I do also read in the genre that I write, and I
Yeah,
feel like it is good to just expose yourself to different things for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, which is nice. Sometimes you need that. I feel like I also do like bookish content, so I always talk about other books too to draw in readers. So I feel like I can get so stuck in just reading one genre, or like really closely within that genre. So the book club is nice because it makes me read. I would probably never read thrillers like ever. So it makes me read stuff like that, which is fun. It's fun and it's also fun to see what those authors do, and then I can kind of like, okay, maybe I could attempt that in my genre. So
Yeah, exactly. It's cool to see like the different plot devices and things. Obviously, like different genres will require like certain things and there's like certain norms.
yeah,
But I do love when people take risks and do something maybe out of the ordinary.
yeah, for sure.
So I could definitely see like how interesting would that be if you did write like a romantasy and you put like some type of thriller trope in there to like add more of a suspense element. That would be a fun read
That
for
would be
me.
really fun, and that would be really fun with vampires. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like
Yeah.
some sort of romance with vampires, but then have that thriller element. That could be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That the book is out there somewhere.
I'm
Just don't
sure.
know
I'm
about it.
sure.
So, this is a question that I ask everybody.
Mhm.
What's something that's bringing you joy right now?
I feel like the sunshine. I've been really enjoying the summer. I mean, I live in Texas though, so it's like the sun is always out. But in particular, this summer I've just been really enjoying it, like soaking it up, hanging out in it. It's just been bringing me a lot of joy. Going on walks, being outside for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of vampires, you're giving it like Sookie from True Blood. Have you ever watched that?
Wait, I have. Wait, but I can't remember who she is off the top of my
I mean,
head.
it's not a spoiler because it's been so long, but she's a fairy and she's just obsessed with the sun. Like,
That's
but
me.
no, I agree. It's getting the vitamin D and it just makes you feel happier just being out
Yes,
there.
literally. I work from home too, and I write, so it's like I'm always in front of a computer at my desk. So it's so nice to like get away and get out and get in the sun and just be outside. So that's been bringing me a lot of
Yeah.
joy lately.
So with that being said, you work from home and you're on a computer a lot, right? And so whenever you get a break and you're like, okay, time to write. Now I'm gonna get back on my computer. Do you find yourself like changing your scenery? Do you ever write outside?
No, I'm like really, I have to write at my desk. Sometimes like if something um like hits me, I will pull out my phone and write. And the like app, it's not an app, but I use a software, or I don't even know what you call a website called Nobbler, and I really like it. It kind of preserves everything, and they don't run your stuff through AI, so that's cool for me. Um, but I'll like read on my phone really quickly. But besides that, I'm at my desk writing I turn the lights down. I feel like that helps, and listen to my lo-fi medieval music.
Yeah, you're a creature of habit, and that's okay.
Yes, I am. I am. I feel like if I don't do it the same way, it's like I can't even think for some reason. It's weird.
Yeah. So, where can people find you and your books? So, where are you most active on social media, and where can people purchase and read them?
Sure. I am on TikTok and I'm on Instagram. So my I'm sure you'll put it somewhere too, but I'm Sarah.writes.read. So you can find me there. Chat with me. I love talking about writing and reading too. So I'm always up for conversations. And you can find my books on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. Pretty much if you wanted to go and order my book at your local indie bookstore, you can do that too, which I highly recommend doing. Pretty much anywhere you can get a book, you can get mine. So,
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll put that in the show notes so people can easily find you and find the books. And I want to ask a question that I didn't put on the list, but it just came to me because I think like people would love to know a little bit more
yeah.
about Song of the Forgotten and the romance there. How would you describe the romance here? Like, what are some of the tropes?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I would say it is a slow burn romance. But sometimes people get a little mad at me about that, and I can't give away too much, but I would say it's slow burn romance. Um, let's leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay, slow burn romance. I mean that it is what it is, and so I mean there's going to be 3 books, so it's definitely going to deliver in some
Yes.
time. Maybe not in book 1. There might be some brush of a hand or something, and you just got to be
No,
patient. Okay.
there's more. It's slightly spicy in book one, but you'll
Okay.
have to read to find out. You'll have to read. That's what I'm just gonna say. So it is a slow burn, and yeah, we'll stick with that.
Gotcha. And I've seen you say that it's like Tutors.
Yes,
That's like a
yes,
comp that you use.
yeah.
I've never watched Tutors. I don't know anything about it, and
Oh
I
my
feel
God.
stupid because I'm like I should
No.
have looked that up. So what is the aspect from Tutors that it's like similar?
Okay, so it is a lot like the show The Tudors, but also like I think kind of why I'm like drawn to a lot of fantasy because I love monarchies. I love kings and queens like in a weird way. I don't like want any kings and queens around. I'm gonna say that out loud now, but the like history it always fascinated me as a child, and I went through a very big like Tudor history phase. So, and specifically, there's Queen Elizabeth I. She's just a very famous queen who was one of the longest reigning monarchs in Europe, in England. But so there's also this show, The Tudors, that follows King Henry VIII, and he's just like this awful man who has all these wives and like them. So, so basically, I pulled a lot from like that history for this book. It's very heavily Tudor inspired. And then I feel like the
Okay.
show is just something that people who enjoy the Tudor history can really resonate with. Most people have
Yeah.
seen it. So lots of court intrigue, brutal family history, brutal, uh, people who care a lot about power and struggle. That's like the Tudor show vibe that I draw from it.
Yeah, that'll be really fun for people that have some type of knowledge on it and to make those connections as they're reading it. I love to like know when I'm like walking into a book, and it's not very often to have the foreknowledge. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but to already know that maybe the author meant to do this or
Yeah.
that they were inspired by this little thing, and
Yeah.
then you seeing like the little elements where it kind of like peeks in.
Yes, the book is totally based off of Queen Elizabeth I for anybody who's interested. So
Cool. Now I'm gonna be doing like deep lore. I'm gonna like go watch a documentary
you
on Queen
should.
Elizabeth.
Her life is very interesting. Her life is very interesting, but kind of traumatic, just like in my book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of them at that time. It's not all like great being royal in that
no,
time
it's
period.
not.
Very rough for the women.
For sure, but yeah, you should definitely watch the documentaries on her. She's interesting character.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining today. I had a blast talking to you, and now I am bumping your book up on my TBR. It's been there, but you
Yay.
know how it is. It's like we never have enough time to read all of the books.
Hey, it's
But I'm
perfect timing because book 2 is about to come out. So there you go.
It really is, and I'm finishing a novella right now that is about sirens. So I'm like, okay, I'm on my
Ooh,
siren
okay.
kick. Let's go.
Okay. You can see how they compare too. So,
Thanks so much for listening. You can follow Sarah through the links in the show notes. And don't forget, Book 2 of the Damned Dynasty series, Song of the Remembered, comes out this November 2026. You can go snag Book 1 right now, Song of the Forgotten. That way you can be ready just in time for the second book's release.